Back to our calls. Tillamook, Oregon, supporting Senator Obama. Hi.
Yes, good morning. First off, I'd like to thank Mr. Baldwin for participating in this amazing form of government we have here, and also say good morning to Randy Rhodes, who I love very much, and ask him, something I found interesting was that during the presidential primary debates that Ron Paul and Dennis Kucinich, probably the most liberal and the most conservative candidates running for president this year, didn't get any time at all. And it seems the same thing is true for yourself and Cynthia McKinney, and and Nader gets a little bit more time. But it seems like those voices are drowned out. I think I agree with what you said about they don't want to hear the ideas. And I think that most of America really wants to hear those things, because what it will do is force the Democrats and Republicans to address those issues. And my question to you, sir, was how do you feel about instant runoff voting, and where you are able to vote for your primary candidate, whichever one you prefer, at the top of the list, and then if you wanted to vote for a Democrat or Republican or what other party after that, what is your position on that? And then also for this bailout bill, I noticed that when you go and look at the voting for who voted for it against, that the most conservative and the most liberal people in Congress didn't vote for it, and the middle of the road, so-called moderates tended to vote for this, but they seem to be kind of supported by corporate funding. And how you felt about the fact that it seemed the most liberal conservative didn't support the bailout bill, but the middle of the road people did. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Oregon.
I think if you'll check the individual congressional districts where these congressmen did not vote for the bailout, including my own district right here in the 1st Congressional District of Florida, you'll find that those congressmen who voted against the bailout were probably concerned that they would face the wrath of the voters back home if they did support the bailout. And the ones who supported the bailout, many of them probably feel secure in their seats, which is why they felt that they could survive the election by going ahead and supporting anyway. And you're right, too, about the caller's very right about the idea that many of the people in Washington who supported the bailout are also receiving many donations to the amount of millions of dollars from the same Wall Street banksters that were now bailed out. And I would add, including John McCain and Barack Obama. Both of these men have received hefty support from Wall Street. So again, the caller is absolutely right about that part of it, and he's also right about the fact that they don't want to hear our ideas. I believe it's important for the American people to hear the ideas of constitutional government and freedom and liberty and national independence and sovereignty in the absence of that being promoted by the two major parties. For instance, I've been asked, what would you do if you were with your first day in office? I already know what it would be. The first thing I would do would issue a pardon for those two Border Patrol agents, Ramos and Campion. The second thing I would do is I would fire the U.S. Attorney, Johnny Sutton, that put them there. And the third thing I would do is I would set out to secure our borders. It's crazy that we are supposedly fighting a war on terror halfway around the world in Afghanistan and Iraq, and then we leave our own borders right here in the United States wide open to potential terrorist activity. That makes no sense at all to me. And so these are the kind of things that the American people are not hearing, because the two major parties are manipulating the system, and the major media is going along with it and now allowing us to get our ideas out in the public forum.
Before we get to our last caller, Mr. Chuck Baldwin, if folks want to learn more about you, about your run for president and the Constitution Party, where can they go?
www.baldwin08.com. That's www.baldwin08.com. Thank you, Bill.
And we have a supporter of Chuck Baldwin's on the line, LaGrange, New York. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. I just want to thank Mr. Baldwin for participating in the process. I was a big Ron Paul supporter. I still am a big Ron Paul supporter. I believe in his message. I hope it's carried on, and I hope it really continues. I'm a professional firefighter in New York. I stood on the graves of 343 of my brother firefighters and over 3,000 of my fellow citizens, and I believe in my heart that this event was the beginning of the end of our republic, sadly to say. I believe, I'm sorry, I get a little emotional about this. The whole war on terror thing, and and the reduction of our rights. Our Fourth Amendment is gone. Our First Amendment is almost gone. We have free speech zones now. My whole country used to be a free speech zone. If Obama gets elected, he's very, very anti-Second Amendment. We could probably see the sunset on our Second Amendment. So I just want to thank Mr. Baldwin for carrying on the message. And I just wanted to ask him one question, what he thinks about back in 2004, FEMA gave Kellogg Brown and Root, which is the construction arm of Halliburton, a $338 million contract to build detention camps throughout the United States. What does he think about the fact now that FEMA runs detention camps in the United States? These camps are fully staffed yet completely empty.
Thanks, New York.
Yeah, we keep hearing these reports, and you know, it is very disconcerting when you hear these things. And I certainly agree with the caller, too, about the way that our Fourth Amendment has been eviscerated, and our First Amendment, and you know, in the Second Amendment, many infringements as well. And he's exactly right about that. And I am extremely concerned as well. In the name of the war on terror, we're sacrificing and abrogating our own freedoms right here in the United States. What good does it do to try to, quote, export democracy, close quote, around the world, and then take away the rights and freedoms of the American people here at home? For example, I think we need to get rid of the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act is an abysmal affront upon constitutional protection of liberty, especially the Fourth Amendment protections. As he said, they're just about gone. We have a situation developing in the United States where it's almost as if we're infatuated with police state mentality here in this country. The increase of the federal police role in our country is very alarming. Law enforcement is the responsibility of the states and the local communities, not the responsibility of the federal government. And yet we see an increasing militarization of our police. We see our law enforcement increasingly being used for federal purposes and not necessarily for the states and the local communities. We find the federal government that is usurping the states and local communities and laws and local law enforcement, etc. These things are very real, and they should be very disconcerting to the American people. And I really believe the caller is absolutely right that if we don't start standing up for these freedoms and these principles right now in 2008, I believe that we are very, very soon to see the erosion, if not the end of our constitutional republic as we have known it.
Chuck Baldwin, the Constitution Party candidate for president, joining us this morning from Pensacola, Florida. Thanks for being with us.
You're more than welcome, Bill. Thank you for giving me the opportunity.